I think that Cleveland has to be absolutely the most racist part of all of America.
When Winston was like 12, 13, 14, Winston was always the kind of kid that he did not fear white people at all. Nobody could ever tell him where he wasn't allowed to go. He's walking home from school, and a busload of white kids came along, and they threw tomatoes, rotten eggs on him. A few days later, they had found a school bus, and it had been burned from a Molotov cocktail, and nobody was in it. When he was 19, he packed his clothes and hid his suitcase, and he left and went to Cleveland. He went to the local pool hall in Cleveland and won several $1,000s. And that got him stuck in Cleveland because he opened business after business after business.
I opened up what was called then a numbered station. And it's a place people go to play numbers. And I call the store Stop and Cop.
July 23rd, Winston and 4 of the most notorious pimps, thugs, and gamblers were sealed in the back of his restaurant, the Hot Potato, gambling, shooting craps. He went into these games with $420 some, and he broke them all, shooting craps in 3 days. So they didn't know the riots had broke out. So when they come out and they step out into the daylight, there's martial law everywhere, and they thought it was for them. And there stands my brother with 2 big black garbage bags. It was $500,000. And the guy that he won the money from, his nickname was Git. You ain't quitting, young nigga. Come on, let's gamble some more. He said, no. He said, I'm going home. And he said, no, young nigga, come on, we're gonna gamble some more. And then Winston said, no, I'm going to buy me some real estate. He opened a family movie theater. It was called Performing Arts Theater. He must have spent $100,000 refurbishing that theater. And the local distributor would not give him any movies. So Winston and his bodyguard, Greg, went down to the local distributor. He bought a can of gasoline and a match. And he said, my name is Winston Willis. I own Performing Arts Theater. Are we going to negotiate or not? They gave him the movie. In 1968, the white business owners were leaving, and they were just abandoning businesses and leaving. So Winston went through the proper channels to try and purchase some of those buildings. And the Cleveland Trust, they refused to sell it to him. Winston was John T. Corrigan's #1 nemesis. I have literally been in the room where Winston would appear and John T. Corrigan was there, and I could see this man's face turn different colors. He hated Winston that much. But Winston would walk over to him and would say, John T. Corrigan, my man. And then he would say, why do you hate black people? He hauled off and punched Winston. The way the city of Cleveland finally got my brother. There was one judge, his name was Alvin Buddy Hensler, and he told him one time, face to face, Winston, this town hates you. You need to leave town, because if you don't, they're going to get you one way or another. Winston at the time was a millionaire. There was a check written from Winston's company for some lumber. So the check bounced. The next morning, they walked into Winston's office and put the cuffs on him and took him to jail for a bounced check. His signature wasn't even on the check, but they got him for the bounced check. 7 different penal institutions refused to accept him because there was no crime. And then at the 8th institution said, would you please take this man into custody? And so they did, in Chillicothe. They put him in solitary without access to his attorney, no phone call, for 12 days.
Cuyahoga County is so bad. And when you read about people being indicted and charged with this and charged with that, what you read is always suspect.
We just assumed he was dead because nobody could find him. Nobody knew where he was. I don't know how many days it took, but immediately the wrecking balls came and they leveled the whole block.
And they'll indict a person and over-indict him, knowing that he cannot afford not to plead guilty because he just may be convicted.